Welcome to the two-man game with myself, Joshua.
Myself, Mello.
And we're here to give you the latest rundown on sports. We're going to talk about football, basketball, and give you some boxing knowledge. I'm not really boxing enthusiast like my guy Mello.
Yeah, boxing is my thing. My first love is football, obviously. Playing that since the get-go, since jump. I'm from South East London, so football's my thing. Boxing has been probably secondary in that. I've also picked up basketball in the last 5 to 7 years during uni. And I'm pretty much a historian of everything, especially sports. So I like to go all the way back to the early 1900s. That might bore some of you guys, but history is very, very important for you young kids out there. But yeah, so those are my three main sports, and that's what we're really going to chop up and discuss. Obviously, we'll touch on other sports when they're relevant. So maybe American football here and there, UFC, you name it. Just the things that are out there relevant and have good content for us to discuss.
On my half, I would say that I am just a sportsman. I played every single sport out there, and I think I'm elite at it. Yeah, no, I'm joking. But yeah, football, basketball, they're the two things that I used to play as a kid. I think I got quite advanced in them, and I played at a certain level, so I know a bit about the nuances of the game. So I can give you the additional knowledge that you need when you're talking about this sports, and hopefully we can learn some more about the football and the basketball, where it's heading, the future of this game, and we can give you more insight about that. Boxing, I just watch it from time to time. I can watch an AJ or Tyson fight. I can kind of guess who's the better athlete or the better boxer. And when AJ faces Tyson Fury, we'll definitely be covering that extensively.
Even what's called Wilder and Fury, the rematch that's supposed to happen later this year. There's also Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. We're here to discuss that chop up, at mass. Also, UFC, there's Khabib and I think Poirier, they're fighting later in the year. We're going to discuss that as well. Back on the football side, I play football as well. Southern League level, not as high as I used to play. I'm also a coach as well, coach at length. I just came from coaching session just now, in fact. So, we can really get into depth and all the nitty-gritty that just said, the nuances, the tactical analysis. We can bring that towards you guys. And yeah, so why did we choose the name Two-Man Game, Josh?
We chose two-man game, just coming from a basketball background,
Yep.
A lot of the game is based on two men. We talk about the Clippers now. We got AD. No, the Clippers, what am I saying? We got Paul George and Kawhi. The Lakers have got AD and Mr. LeBron.
The Cake.
The Mavericks have got KP and Doncic. But you see, most of these great teams, they're all based on two players. We look back at Jordan and Pippen, and we chose two men because, me and Mello, we're going to be elite. We're going to be the two men that's running the game. At the moment, we talk about the sports game. Maybe that's what we're aiming to do. But yeah, we just chose that name because it's insightful. It covers a range of games. And sports.
Yep.
If, for example, boxing is two men in the ring, football you have two men up top, and they normally decide the outcome of a game.
Yep.
So
two flying wingers.
Yep. Two-man game, two working pairs.
Yeah, the basketball is pick and pop, pick and roll, like Karl Malone and John Stockton, the legendary pick and roll everyone knows. And so I'm kind of really like where basketball's headed at this point in time. It's kind of gone back to 80s, 90s, or end of 80s and 90s, where there's two guys, you have two elite players in your team, and that's what's going to take you to a chip. So there's a lot of teams. Also, there's the Rockets with Westbrook, and there's also Harden as well. Obviously, when Kyrie and Durant get fit, there's a two-man game there. Clay and Steph, when they get going, so we just thought it was really relevant, it was catchy, and so that's what we ran with it. So yeah.
So let's move on to football today. We just had the last week of the games after the Corona period. Is there anything? Let's talk about the overall COVID period. Have you enjoyed this period of football?
I mean, we were starving for football, starving for sports, and obviously, people were a bit rusty, especially the first couple of games. Even VAR was rusty, as you saw in, I think, the very first game between Aston Villa and Sheffield United, where Sheffield United got a goal disallowed. And apparently the excuse was, or the reason was, that VAR wasn't switched on.
I think that's, if you're a Bournemouth supporter or just an average footballer, to imagine that's the goal that sent you down.
Yeah, Bournemouth, Watford, that's essentially the goal that sent you down. And, especially in this period, going down, going to hit teams a lot harder than usually before. Like, they used to call the playoff game the £100 million game. Now, obviously in this COVID period, everyone's taking a hit and there's no fans. You get less income into your club, and so not able to capitalise on the TV rights from the Premier League is going to be very, very critical. And so, yeah, that's unforgivable.
I think we're talking about football finances at this time. There's no fans coming to the stadium, everything is a bit up in the air.
Well.
You don't know when the new season is going to start. You don't know how you're going to play in Europe and all those things. How does football progress without fans? And if you're a team that's struggling, how do you keep those finances going to pay those players just the basic amenities that you need for a football team?
It's going to be a very hard period. The lesser teams that don't have the TV pool and they need to profit and benefit from, the TV revenue, and that can't, especially being in the Premier League. That's why I harped on those teams going down. Bournemouth and Watford is very, very important, and it's going to be very key. But the lesser teams low down in the division, they're going to really struggle because a lot of them, they count and depend on the fans coming in, not just for the tickets, the food, they buy merchandise, all that sort of stuff. It's very important, and this is sports all across the board. As you cope, I guess the people that control the finances got to be really creative and find ways. Really got try and look for advertising as much as possible.
Do you not think that a franchise model would be better in this period than the club model that we have right now? Because, a totally side topic is that I've been having this idea, and I think that the way American sports are run is more efficient than the way football is run here. But everyone keeps on telling me that the beauty of relegation, the beauty of promotion, but I just generally think the franchise model works. 20 established teams, the likelihood of them going under is low. You can have the best talent pool available here in the UK, and you get quality football. The quality will increase. So
in that scenario, do you want it across all Europe? Because the Champions League is the biggest competition, or at least in my opinion, and most people's.
Don't you not believe that there will be a Super League coming soon?
I mean, it's possible, but we'll have to wait and see. That's a topic for a different day. We'll go into more depth.
Okay.
So we'll go down. Obviously, the last game in the Premier League, game week 38. So teams, Champions League will start for grabs, relegation will start for grabs, like we touched on. So we're just going to quickly run through the games.
So let's start with the Chelsea-Wolves game.
So
the Chelsea-Wolves game, I did manage to catch a bit of it. I'm not really a Chelsea fan or Wolves fan, but it was very important in the top 4 race. My takeaway is this: how is a 33-year-old Giroud keeping a 21-year-old Tammy Abraham? Tammy is more mobile. He has more attributes, but yet he doesn't have the mental attributes that Giroud has.
Experience.
And Chelsea cannot push on without a quality striker. Do you believe that Werner will enable them to do better in the top 4 next year?
I mean, Werner will make their attack force dynamic. And I think Werner's a very, very good player coming from Germany, from RB Leipzig. He plays for the German team. He's clinical, he's quick. He gives me Michael Owen vibes. My only slight issue with Werner, the Premier League is a lot more physical than the German League.
You don't think that a lot of German exports have blossomed in the Premier League? For the likes of Sane, Firmino's here,
He's from Brazil, yeah.
Yeah. So the people do translate from the Bundesliga.
Yeah, including a few years back. I mean, the German football, they do translate well, but my issue is, as a lone striker, which Chelsea are actually going to do, can Werner really get used to dealing with guys like from Brighton, what's his name? They have
Dunk.
They have Dunk. They have guys like that have 6 foot.
You don't think he can handle
that? 6'7" fullback as well. Times like guys from Sheffield, O'Connell. Who's the other centre backs they have as well? Who's would be?
What for who?
For Sheffield.
Basham,
guys like that. Those physical guys, and the Premier League, they let a lot more stuff go. I mean, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to take more. I won't be surprised if it takes more while to adapt.
He scored 28 goals in 34 appearances this season, so he is a goal scorer.
He knows the back of the net, but he didn't. I'll be surprised if he played on top by himself.
And he's 1 and 2 in Europe, and that is a high standard of competition. So he can do it.
But Chelsea crossed the ball a lot, and I don't think that'll be much of his game.
No, well, obviously Chelsea crossed the ball a lot. I don't know why they cross the ball as much as they do.
Because they have big strikers.
And yet the crosses. Have you seen Chelsea score a lot of goals from crosses?
Look at how they finished off Man United in the FA Cup. Drew's near post runs that's his hallmark.
That's a low cross. We're not complaining a low crossing system. We're talking about.
No, but
there's a lot of efficient. Like Reece James, for example, he delivers a great ball into the box.
Drew can Werner capitalize on his balls?
I haven't seen Drew score many goals from those headers.
I've seen Drew score a lot of goals. I don't know what you're watching.
No, from the headers.
But that's why Drew
in the Chelsea system.
Don't necessarily headers crosses. That's why Chelsea. That's what Drew's doing well, especially since the current the lock-up period is finished or eased. At Arsenal we didn't cross the ball that much. At Chelsea we crossed the ball a lot more than we do, especially Chelsea in the past. And I think that's why I believe Drew has done well. But then looking at the game specifically, I feel Mason Mount came through for Chelsea. He got a goal, great free kick, and also got a nice assist for Drew's goal as well. And he's coming from the clutch. That shows me he can deal under pressure. I mean, he went a bit on a cold period. I think he went a few games without scoring before. I think the game before or 2 games before. But he really came through when the money was on the line. Champions League football was on the line. The immediate future of Chelsea Football Club essentially was on the line. He came through and provided. And it's ominous signs. And, those are the players you need. Players that can provide for you in the clutch, the pressure situations. And he really done with.
So have you been impressed with Mason Mount's debut season? He's the first academy graduate to have 50 appearances in his debut season. He looked very promising at the beginning, but he seemed to tail off during the season. Did he deliver? Do you think he will deliver on the promise he's shown?
I think he can do really well. I mean, in basketball they call it the rookie wall. When you first play games at that intensity, games of that magnitude, and playing that amount of games, yes, you got a bit of a introduction for the championship game, but the championship game is a level below. Even though it's more physical, more tiring, they say, but it's a level below the Premier League. So I feel you can provide for Chelsea. And
what is his ceiling and what is his floor? As you talk about Mason Mount. What's his ceiling? What's his ceiling? What's his floor?
Ceiling. As an attacking midfielder.
So who would you compare him to?
Attacking midfielder. If he can approximate Sneijder.
You would say he has Sneijder capabilities?
He's very, very best. If he gets every last drop of energy and ability from his being. If he approximates Sneijder, who was at one point, he could have won a Ballon d'Or, to be honest. I think that's at his very, very best. If everything goes right. At his worst, who could he be? Who could he be? Attacking midfielder. A Lallana type, maybe at his worst. Mm-hmm. I mean, Lallana's not a steady player. So maybe something like that, even though he's not as double foot, but something like that. I guess.
So you say a Lallana type?
Something like that. That's off the top of my head. I'll probably come back with a more robust answer. What about you?
I think there's his top end ceiling. He might be Mount. English players. You don't really get English players of Mount's kind of
the new wave
attributes. Yeah, it's kind of unique.
Diminutive attacking midfielder.
He reminds me similarly of a Isco type, but I think Isco's a bit more
silky,
talented. Yeah, a bit more silky. While Mount is more industrious.
I hear that. I like that.
Who can I compare him to?
Isco is his ceiling.
Maybe Isco is his ceiling. I don't see him ever being better than an Isco type.
The difference to him is I think he shoots a lot more willing to shoot. That's why Sneijder came to my head, because Sneijder is the type of attacking midfielder I like. When the striker's not doing anything, Wiggs not doing anything, you give him 30 yards, boom, you can put top bins. Mm-hmm. That's what you need. If you're going to play number 10, you need to have pressure to win you games and score big goals and come up with big moments. And those type of guys, your Kakas, your Schneiders, for me personally, the best 10s of the last 10, or the last 10, 15 years, really. Those type of guys, they can win you games. And if you have a pass or a shot, they're threats in two different ways. Mm. Not just assists, they could win it. But KDB as well, if you want to throw him a day, even though it's going a bit deeper. The type of guy, pressure the line, 20 yards, 25 yards, could go boom, or even just a decisive pass.
So let's move on to the other team in this. We don't need to talk too much about it, but what about Wolves? What did you take away from Wolves is not just this performance, but their season so far?
I mean, it's another great season for them. I mean, they finished top 6 or 7, didn't they?
They finished 7th.
Another great series for them. Similar positioning. Came from the championship 2 years ago, and I believe my takeaway from their season is more because they had a lot of players who are used to playing the European style. A lot of players who have European football experience. So you got Neves, you got Martinho, those type of guys, and their manager as well. And have a really thick squad to help them with any injuries. So they're able to balance Europa League and the Premier League, which is one of the hardest things to do, to still be effective. And they're still in the Europa League now, and if they were to win it, which they could, the Champions League football, and if that happens, that's an excellent season. That's the top of the range season they could have got. And I think that things are looking good for them. I like their manager, I like their players, I love Martinho. Mm-hmm.
Martinho is a team like Wolves doesn't get a Martinho. 10 years ago.
They don't. Well, Martinho is the type of guy, if you play Football Manager 5-10 years ago, he was the guy that you bought. If you needed a TM, you bought him. He was reliable, dependable, could defend, could attack. Even though he's small, he works hard, always gives you a 7 out of 10 every week. And he was used to be that central midfield general, or gem, that you buy on a cheap, on effort back in the day, and he's an excellent player, very experienced, and he helps with the development and progression of Ruben Neves. That tandem is excellent. That two-man midfield, that two-man game.
Let's wait. I think we've covered this game. Let's move on to the Man United Leicester game.
Yes.
I would say this was arguably the biggest game of the weekend. and it failed to deliver as a spectacle, as a game. But I would say the tension, it was like there was some discord amongst the Leicester players. You can see they are off rhythm.
Yep.
They're short of confidence, and yet they played a great game for 60 or so minutes, and it all fell apart. As things do seem to happen against Man United in the same fashion. Another penalty. What was the takeaway from this game? Like, how big was this Man United victory for them to get this top 4 position? Can they push on?
United got their 14th penalty, record breaking in the Premier League. To no surprise, even Vieira, they still get their decisions. But looking at United, can they push on? I mean, that was a big game for them because now they're in for Sancho, who's the golden boy. The next one up, big things. And he's an extremely talented player. A player that can contribute goals and assists, dual threat. And if they do manage to get him, even though I like Greenwood, I like Martial, and I like Rashford, he'll be better than all 3 of them, if we're being honest right now. And so if they do manage to get him, that'll take him to the next level. They need to improve. If I was United in a United makeup, I'll keep Dean Henderson and I'll get him to battle De Gea, because De Gea's fallen off a cliff. 2 years ago, he was him and Oblak, and maybe a bit of Neuer, better for the number one keeper in the world, maybe mistaken as well. Now, I'll say he's definitely not world class in my opinion anymore.
So
right now,
you're Henderson.
I'll keep Dean Henderson. At least the battle, and if the guy's still messing up, he gets game time as well. And then even if he plays well, proves himself, he can displace the guy. They need to. I like Brandon Williams. I think they need to get another centre-back next to Maguire, because Maguire's a bit too. He's not slow, but he's not quick enough.
Is Bailly? Would you not say Bailly?
I love Bailly, but Bailly's always injured and he's a bit too rash. I mean, if he wasn't as injury prone, Bailly could play a lot more, and could eventually sweep off the rashness away from his system. But he's not playing enough games. I mean, Bailly on paper will be the perfect defender next to Maguire, because he's mobile, he's quick, he's strong, athletic, that sort of thing. But I think they need to be another guy to at least battle Bailly, and to be there to, if he's injured, to play.
Let's bring it back to that point you mentioned about De Gea and Henderson. Do you really believe that Henderson is much of an upgrade on De Gea?
Well, the way De Gea's playing right now, I would say De Gea's playing.
I'm not been impressed with Henderson as much as other onlookers have been. Like, Henderson's very susceptible to conceding at his near post, and if you look at a lot of the goals Sheffield United conceded, it's at the near post, and goalkeepers shouldn't be beaten there. I
mean, you conceded a couple goals from there, but that's true. I mean, hopefully he can eradicate that from his makeup. But De Gea's literally cost the United goals and games that he should have been saving. Back 2-3 seasons ago, when he was, winning them points, he's now conceding howlers of goals. Look at the FA Cup game.
So where do you trace De Gea's fall off?
I don't know. I think they say around the contract time, maybe his heart's not in it, maybe he wants to go back to Madrid. It's just been one of those funny ones, really and truthfully. He's just literally falling off a cliff. I like Fernando Torres, that's what he's doing right now, just falling off a cliff. I no one can really trace and suss out where it's come from. It's literally just falling off a cliff. He's gone up here and just went, I don't know. So,
let's be comfortable. Are you impressed with United's front six? Let's say their front six. They're everything except for the defence.
I'll go more front 5. So if they can manage to retain Pogba, which it looks like they're going to do, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Martial, and Mason Greenwood, who's a gem of a player. That combination is very, very potent. And the front 3, they should be contributing 20 goals all competitions.
I'm not really impressed with Rashford since the COVID break.
He's been a bit rusty, but
he looks shot. I don't know where he is. It's not like he concentrated his effort on football in that break. He doesn't look he looks like a shadow of the player he was before the break. And he was Man United's most important player at that point.
He came back from an injury, so he's still a bit rusty. So I'll give him a little break there. But he's still, even though it's not a good player, when you're playing not so good, but you're still providing contributions. And that's what Bruno Fernandes does. Even though he's been penalised, but you're not playing well. If you manage to contribute to your team, even if there's one pass in the game,
the boy is Bruno. I knew we were going to talk about him.
The last few games, he has been as good.
He's great technically.
Yes.
He's great technically. He's finally faced British football. Yeah. They finally put a body on him. It's been more physical, and his game's changed. Yeah. He's not having the freedom over the pitch. You know, when you go and face Palace, for example, they are going to get you on the ground. They're gonna put a body on you. It's gonna change the way you play. And he looked a bit timid in the last recent performances. I haven't seen the Bruno that I saw come across, but obviously he contributes assists and goals. It's 15. Yeah. It's 15 goal contributions since his arrival in the Premier League, which is just astonishing.
Yeah.
But he he's a good player. I don't know if his ceiling is near KDB. I've heard some comparisons about him, but his game is very basic to me. It's very much more shoot on sight and then pass when I can't shoot.
I mean, that's a simplistic way to look at it. I mean, to be fair, to an extent, he does keep it simple, but he does the business. So he gets goals, he gets assists. He's not really going to overplay to that extent. He's very quick in his thought process. He does things quickly. He tries things a lot, maybe too much. But at the end of the day, he gets results. When the results stop, then we can go back and try to reconfigure his game. But even the post-balls, even there, that's where Pogba comes in. Because when Bruno's necessarily not having the greatest of games, Pogba can control and dictate the tempo a bit more. And so that's why they can retain Pogba is very key. Mm-hmm. And have those two guys there, and then hopefully Matic has another season in him, or McTominay can come in and show up that midfield.
Okay, that's impressive.
But also, like touch on the Leicester side, but before that, Jay Lings, the boy, managed to get a goal. His first of the season, goal or assist. You know what's funny? Some guy put a bet on. I think it's like £10 or won him like £670 if Jay Lings didn't get a goal or assist this whole season. And last game of the season, Kasper Schmeichel just gifts him a goal.
I don't know. Schmeichel is conspiring. Johnny Evans, ex-Man United player, he must be conspiring as well. Maybe they paid him off. But Lingard is not the quality of Man United at all.
Yep.
He's not an awful player. He's a simplistic player. If he was on a team like Villa or Watford, he would be seen as better than he would have a better image than he has now. Obviously, Man United cannot win. You cannot win titles with Lingard being your 12th contributor off the bench. He cannot be your first sub. He cannot be your second sub.
He's not.
Maybe he's your third. Maybe he's your third backup for the Fernandes role. Yeah. You know, he had too much of an important role, and his talents do not fit that Man United squad.
I mean, he went through some personal issues himself. Mentality is a big part of football. A lot of people think it's technical, physical. It's not that. It's mentality. He went through certain things that I won't really talk on, and so that affects his game, and it has done in the last 12, 18 months.
I've just been disappointed in him. I've just been disappointed in his application of his talent. It's been poor, and even if you're not talented, it's working hard. And I didn't see that he was. Not that I'm saying that he didn't work hard. I just didn't see someone that believed in his ability.
Yeah, like I said, mentality. He went through some things, and when you lose confidence, belief, everything goes downhill. All your attributes that you had before, they'll just diminish, and that's what I believe he's gone through. I mean, Lingard still has a role to play at United if he can be, like you said, a 6th, 5th, 7th sub. Part of the 22, whatever. Energy. At certain games you could play him, so you come against a top winger like, I don't know, what's his name, like Sancho, or if they're playing against the top winger, you could play him on the outside, do the defensive job, that sort of thing. And he still has a role to play in that because he has a lot of energy, works hard, high work rate, that sort of thing. So if he gets his head back in the game, get knuckle down, really work on improving his game again and get back to where he was, he still has a role to play. So I won't really give up him as of yet.
And then let's quickly touch on Leicester. They spent 325 days in the top 4 and ended up outside it.
Arsenal, that's what Arsenal used to do. That sort of thing.
How did they recover from this slow end of the season? I don't even know how to describe their fall off. I
mean, it's disappointing. But 5th, at the start of the season, we offered them 5th, they'd bit your hand off. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, they were 4th all season, they fell off. So it kind of looks like a downer. I feel a bit sorry for them in an aspect because Pereira and Chilwell, they've missed most of the games post-lockdown, and they're a key part of their team. They offer width, they're quick, they offer attacking threat, they can defend well, especially Pereira. They offer a lot to that team and contribute a lot to that team. Especially they're missing this period, especially Pereira's missed the whole period. It's been a big impact. I believe if they had both of them playing most of the games, I think they would have finished in the top 4.
Pereira, best right back in the league?
Pereira, best right back in the league. You class Aspi as a right back?
He's awful.
He's not awful.
He's not
diminishing.
He's not the same Aspi as he used to be. I'm not taking Aspi.
I know. For me, overall, you could make argument for Pereira, but for me, I'm gonna go with the boy Trent personally.
Okay. I think Pereira is better both ways.
But if you look at two-way, I'll give Pereira. But look at overall impact, the boy Trent.
Okay. Villa. Let's talk about Villa staying up.
Yeah.
How monumental was that draw?
It's a big, like I said, we touched on the financial aspect at the start. It's a big goal Grealish had. The boy wonder for them. They haven't had a striker score since mid to late January, which is awful. Grealish has managed to provide that spark, that impact. And so it's a great win, and they managed to stay up, and hopefully they can push off from here. Hopefully they can retain Grealish. I think he will stay for another season.
Yeah, I do think Grealish stays for another season, even though I do not think that's the best move for him. He does need to test his talent,
but he's still
playing on a bigger stage.
I mean, if United didn't get Bruno Fernandes, I reckon it would have gone to them. But right now, I mean, who's he really going to go to? I mean, what? Who needs a midfielder? No one really needs a midfielder like that. So
crazy.
Yeah, unless he wants to go to another Everton or something like that, but that's risky for me. Potentially Wolves, maybe, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. I think we have to wait and see how the landscape plays out.
I don't think we should even talk about West Ham. You know how West Ham are. They just turn it on a bit late in the season. I mean, good performances from players like Antonio and Declan Rice.
I mean, what I'll say brief from West Ham, Declan Rice needs to be careful because they'll lose him. But they need to be careful because you can only be mediocre for so long, and when you're mediocre for so long, you eventually get into the trap and you won't be able to pull out the performances to keep you up. And that's what happened to Bournemouth. In the first couple of seasons of the Premier League, they done well. They really improved. They were still in the middle of the pack, and eventually as the league progressed and changed, they changed with the league, and then dropped down and they got relegated.
Now talking about Bournemouth and Watford,
yeah.
Who now because you mentioned them, who do you think is more likely to come back straight back up out of the two?
I think I'll probably say Watford because I think Bournemouth will lose more players. Bournemouth they're already set to lose Ake. Mm-hmm. I think Bournemouth will. Someone will grab Josh King. Mm-hmm. Callum Wilson, I see has to be the guy grabbing Callum Wilson. He's a striker. Mm. Brooks is a good player. I'm not sure if they signed Harry Wilson. If they did,
no, he's a loan.
Yeah, okay, good. What's his name? I think Solanke will stay with them. But I reckon they're going to lose more players. So
you don't think Watford has players that have a resale value?
Sarr is the only player I can see.
Doucouré?
Sarr, I can see definitely. Maybe Doucouré and maybe Boyhood. Everyone else.
Not even Capoue or
maybe Capoue, but I don't know. I can see them playing championship football, and that's also like when we touch on when we saying they sold Jesse Lingard. Yeah. The mark of how good a player is when you sell him, what club he goes to. Arsenal sold Welbeck, and he went to Watford. It
was a free transfer.
It was a free transfer,
and Welbeck was very good for Watford
in the end. But you think a player playing for the top 6 club, they shouldn't go to a team back for relegation on paper. They should go to at least the level below, maybe 2 levels to Sheffield United, the Evertons. But going to those type of teams, that shows the quality of player they really are. If that's the only teams that really want them. Of course, Robert had a bit of injuries here and there, but still, it's very telling. Watford, in that game against Arsenal, the game was there for them. Arsenal, they wanted to give Uber the golden boot. Everyone trying to make Uber score. Mm-hmm. Watford had chances, they missed their chances, and if they scored those goals, they would have stayed up, I believe, and it was in their own hands, really and truthfully. So
Okay. Quick fire on the rest of the games on the weekend. Let's talk about City, Norwich. What was your 3 takeaways? Give me 3 of your takeaways.
My City 3 takeaways. KDB, equaling Henry's assist record. He's a robot. He just produces results. Have a shot, pass, cross. He just does the business. He's been playing great football. Silva's, Swan Song, he's gone from the Premier League. Great player, in my opinion, just about top 5 Premier League before all time.
That's true. No, I'm not giving him top 5.
I give him top 5, my opinion.
We'll talk about that another day, but there's Gerrard, there's Lampard, there's Yaya Toure, there's Vieira.
Yep.
That 5th spot we can... Maybe Silva, you're gonna have people have Scholes there.
Silva, Scholes, there's KDB
might be ahead of him in a long run.
Argue
Kante won 2 championships on two different teams.
That's true. I mean, we'll discuss that because I think that's his own segment. But David Silva, in my opinion, phenomenal player. Arguably, a lot of City fans call him their best ever player.
And I think that is disrespectful to Yaya.
It's not disrespectful at all. He's given a solid good 10 years, been consistent from the very get-go.
But Yaya's peak was clear.
Yaya's peak maybe high, but it's more about there's a difference between peak and prime. Peak is the very best. Prime is the consistency. Silva's provided the consistency from start to finish.
I'd rather take a player with a short peak, which is higher than someone's.
I'd rather someone give me solid, great 10 years. Someone gives me good to great
5 years,
5-8 years, and 2 years of exceptional football.
We can talk about this another time, but we were talking about different sports and I'll beg to differ. KDB hitting their assist records. How monumental a season was he? I think he deserved Player of the Year.
He did. They done him dirty when Salah won it when Liverpool were in a similar position. Salah had a great season, he got the goals, but KDB won the title. This time the roles have flipped. They don't give KDB the award. I think they should have given KDB the award, but a lot of people in the media are.
You know what? Henderson getting the award is just, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's white privilege or something. I thought that was an absolute joke. He didn't deserve that.
He played well the season. People underrate him.
Mane was, what was it, 21 goals, 13 assists or something like that?
I think Premier League got like 18, 17 goals. He played well. I'm not as angry as other people. I think because
let me check up that.
I look at it from a managerial perspective, which I implore a lot of people to do when they analyse games. A lot of people look from a fan's perspective. Mm-hmm. You have people like your Hendersons, your Gattusos, those sort of players that do the simple stuff. Maybe because Gattuso is Italian, has a nice name, he's flashy, because Italian, the suave, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. People don't really, because in the Premier League, people don't really discredit him as much as they would Henderson. I think Henderson's very consistent this season. The game he missed against Watford was the first game they lost. He's very impactful, he's showing good leadership skills, performed really well, got important goals, worked hard. Mm-hmm. I think Henderson's been a good player this season. Personally, Mane has probably done a bit better, but I'm not as angry as other people with Henderson winning the award.
Mane, 18 goals, 9 assists in the Premier League, 2 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League. He's had a great season.
He's had a great season, of course.
Just it's undervalued, I guess, by people. I believe probably the most undervalued player in the Premier League right now. Mane doesn't get the same shine because he's around Salah.
I think he's getting recently. He's got more of a shine. The last 6, 12, 18 months, he got more of a shine. Because after Salah's season, he hasn't replicated his numbers. I think Mane has proved so long. Like, a lot of people in the talks and discussions, they compare Mane to Neymar, so he's better than Neymar, stuff like that.
Neymar?
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. You get
I'm not in these discussions, so I think you should go and find those.
I'll bring them on.
A lot
of people have said that. Maybe because Neymar's been injured.
Maybe in 2 weeks' time when we invite guests.
I'll bring guests that will talk about that stuff. I can hear the argument to an extent, and because obviously Neymar's been injured, but deep down, we all know. Like Aaron says, we know, the truth. We all know.
Yeah, you better go and find those.
We know. Lastly, I'd like to touch on the Southampton aspect. Because remember when they got slapped 9-0 from Leicester?
Southampton.
They really came back.
Yeah. I was very impressed, with Ings' season this year.
Very, very impressed.
22 goals.
22 goals.
22 goals in a Southampton team. You don't really get a player playing in a mid-table team, scoring that amount of goals. I think maybe this is his level. If he goes to a bigger team, he's a small fish in a big pond. I think he might prefer to stay at this level, but I don't know. What do you think?
I feel when he came from Burnley to Liverpool, it was a good move for him, but the injuries ruined him. And I'm so happy for him that he's ready to rebuild his career and come back again to provide a playing top level. Because when he went to Liverpool, he was still pretty young and looked like a good signing. And now he's, in my opinion, the Premier League, the most improved player this season.
So if there was an award,
I'll give it to him. Ings, you're my most improved player. I respect you, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him a lot because going through injuries, people expect people to come back. Injuries, the psychological things, the mental thing, and people don't really understand how much that weighs in player. Like I said before, mentality and the mental approach is the most important part in sports. And if we don't get that part right, everything falls down. Also, Che Adams, he broke his duck a couple of weeks ago.
He scored a double, didn't he?
He scored again. Looking very active, and him and Ings can prove a very dynamic duo that can cause teams a lot of havoc next season moving forward. Because remember, there's a quick turnaround. He comes back mid-September.
Who finishes higher next season, Southampton or Sheffield United?
Sheffield United, I think, are they in Europe?
They're not in Europe.
If Sheffield United, if they're not in Europe, I believe it would be Sheffield because their defence is immense. But if they are in Europe, I'll go Southampton.
Okay. Just quickly on Spurs, just to end it off this topic, we're not going to really talk about Burnley and Brighton, maybe another week.
Apologies to Burnley and Brighton fans out there.
I'm not going to talk about them, they don't deserve my time. But just to discuss Spurs quickly, Kane, is he finished?
Nope, he's not finished. His game's going to adapt. He might leave Spurs to go to a bigger team. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. Mm-hmm. People are giving him a lot of slack. He's not as quick and nimble as he used to be, but his game is not it's not built around pace All he needs is half yard. Right
in
foot,
modern football,
left
yeah,
foot.
let
me land. Right foot, left foot, knees, bang, goal. And just surrounded with players with pace like Son, Lucas Moura, Bergwijn. They can eventually place or Eriksen brought to the team. They can start firing again. I mean, what Spurs need, they've always been 1 or 2 players away. Back when Arsenal used to suffer that in the late 2000s to early 2010s, they can get someone of Son's level to replace or to play alongside Kane. So Kane, Son, and another player of Son's level, they'll be back in business.
Yeah. And then Palace lost the last 7. I don't know. Zaha, does he stay this summer quickly?
I mean, Zaha, I don't think so. I mean, if I was Zaha when he signed that contract, he got a release clause because that's what's kept him this season.
Yeah, it's a shame. Anyway, let's change sport.
Yes.
You know, it's something that I was very excited to talk about today.
Yep.
We're talking about the MVP race.
MVP, semi-awards, MVP.
We're talking about the awards race, yeah.
Awards, obviously, they NBA last 10 days, they released that, you know, the awards will be done based on the bubble basketball. So start off with, first with most improved player. So Josh, would you like to, you know, lead us off?
You know, we did our practice pod last week, you know, before, you know, don't think that we don't work. We put this into practice.
Hard yards.
There's 3 candidates for the most improved player.
Yep.
And my 3 candidates were Brandon Ingram.
Yep.
Devontae Graham.
Yep.
And Luka Doncic. You hear me out on Luka Doncic. We're going to talk about that.
Luka the Don.
But I would like to give a shout out to Sabonis. He was amazing this year, wasn't he? He really spurred on that Indiana team, and they're a playoff team.
Especially without Victor Oladipo.
And it's a shame that he's not going to be playing in the bubble. He's got plantar fasciitis, whatever. He can't walk properly or something like that.
Injured?
Yeah, he's injured. He's not in the bubble. So Miles Turner will be getting all those minutes. So I have decided that my most improved player this season,
drum roll please,
is Luka Doncic.
I heard that.
His points have gone up 8. It's gone up 8 points. He's averaging 29.
Yep.
9. Is it 29, 9 and 9?
Effectively, if you round up, yeah.
He round up, and that is crazy for a second year player. This guy is only 21.
What's his ceiling?
He's Bird.
Larry Bird. Modern day Larry Bird.
Modern day Larry Bird. His floor is James Harden. That's his floor.
James Harden's a floor, really?
Yes.
That's big talk. We're not coming back to this.
James Harden.
Floor, James Harden. Ceiling, Larry Bird.
His floor is James Harden.
Pause right there. That's Hall of Fame floor to top 7 all time ceiling. That's big talk.
I'm just so enamored with what Luka Doncic has, his skill set and his mental capacity. He's won everywhere.
Yep.
Everything he's done, he's won. So why does he not think he can come here and win? His ability to be a floor general,
yep,
and also score points, that is just uncanny. Like, not many players can do that. Who else? Like, we got LeBron in this modern day game.
Harden does it.
Harden does it.
Larry Bird did it.
And then who else? Magic didn't score to the extent that Luka's doing.
Magic, he could score, but he was more facilitator. I mean, Luka is more, and the LeBron makeup is more of a balance. Magic was more, let's say, 65% playmaking, 35% scoring. Remember we done the junior skyhook against I think it was the Philadelphia 76ers when we had to jump and play centre, I believe that was.
Yeah, I think that was in his rookie year, wasn't it? He played,
yep.
And he scored 42 points in that game.
Magic, top player. That's his top 5.
So
go look at Magic Tape, kids. Go watch that. Go watch that. Best point guard ever.
Magic.
No debate.
Magic was his generation. Or
generation.
You might not even see another player like him. But yeah, I do really like Luka. Also, with regards to Brandon Ingram, I could not put him because his points weren't coming, his stats were not coming in wins. He wasn't contributing to winning basketball, which I think is a big part.
Very important, yep.
And then for Devontae Graham, he's came from relatively nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely nowhere.
I'm not sure, I don't have his stats to hand, but what did Devontae do? What was his increases then?
Essentially, almost tripled his rebounds, his points and assists. I mean, me personally, Devontae Graham, because of just the magnitude and astronomical improvements he's made, I have him as my most improved player. I mean, of course, he's not playing. He's not in the bubble. He's not playing winning basketball per se. But the Charlotte Hornets, obviously losing Kemba Walker, that's their best player, all-star level player, and they lost him. They're expected to be where they are, and he's effectively, to an extent, obviously not as good as Kemba, but he's replaced that void. And if you look at his points per game, like I said, points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, almost tripled. He's become a dangerous shooter. 28% from 3 last season, now 37%. That's top level numbers with 9 attempts.
So is Devontae Graham your most improved?
He's my most improved player. The only thing I can really criticise him for his field goal percentage was under 40%, and for a guy...
That's very poor for any player on the court.
For a guard, you want him to at least in the 40s. That's where I criticise him. But the fact he's come from absolutely nowhere to be relevant to this magnitude, I believe he's my most improved player. Second, I did have Luka Doncic. I mean, 29, 9 and 9. You can't really argue with that. He's become... he's gone from being an all-star level player to be a real MVP franchise player, and like Josh touched on, floored James Harden, seeded Larry Bird. I don't really disagree with that too much, but I'm just saying it's big talk, so we have to wait and see.
I think Melo, if you look at it,
I hear it. Just like it's just big talk, Hopefully,
I just can't bet against the kid. That is the issue that I have.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
and the teams that passed on him, you will regret it. I don't know why.
Because obviously there's a stigma of choosing European players so high.
Look, when there's 2 Europeans hosting up that trophy soon, him and KP, you won't be saying that.
I mean, Luka Doncic is a very exceptional player, exceptional talent. The stuff he's doing is putting him right up there with the legends at his age. I mean, at the age of 21, you can make a solid case that he's the best 21-year-old ever.
And then who was third on your ballot?
My ballot was close. It was with toss-up to Tatum, Bam, and Ingram. I'm going to go with, just to be not controversial, to be different, I'll go with Tatum. I'll go with Tatum for me personally. He's come from... He's his first time All-Star this season, and towards the last few months before the lockdown of the league, he was proven he can be towards a near franchise player. And him with dynamic Jaylen Brown as well. Them guys can improve. They can be really dangerous in the East. So that was my third. I mean, back to Luka a bit. If he can keep his 3-point percentage over 35, because he shoots around 32% this season, last season, and over his career, and also free throw above 25%, you get those percentages up above those benchmarks, then now we're really rolling. I mean, he takes a bit too many bad shots and threes. That's why his percentage is lower than you would expect. But Luka, he's the future. Yeah. Okay,
and then let's talk about Rookie of the Year. I think this was pretty open and short for me. I didn't even really go into it much. Zion hadn't played enough games.
Yeah.
So I had Ja Morant.
Yeah.
He's averaging 17, 7 and 3. Only 5 rookies have averaged this.
Yep.
Could you guess?
5 rookies.
Yeah. Give me 2.
LeBron?
Nope.
What, 17? Oh, 7 assists in it. Magic?
Yep.
Magic. Larry?
No. I'll give you Oscar Robertson, Allen Iverson, Damian Stoudemire and Trae Young, which is quite a esteemed company to be honest.
Fair enough, yeah.
Especially Oscar Robertson, the big old Magic Johnson.
Mr. Triple-Double. Search him up, kids. Oscar Robertson.
I would say Ja Morant to get his team in the playoffs as well. A team that you didn't expect. He plays with such control for someone that is so fast.
Yeah, measured.
He's very measured, and also he can shoot from the field.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a cross between a Kyrie, a Westbrook. I don't know. John Wall.
Yeah.
I'm just enamored by his skill set. He's so explosive.
Yeah.
And he also committed on the defensive end. I remember a game tying block he made against Kyrie.
Yeah, he did. I think that's start the season. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kyrie as a ball handler and what he's done.
The best ball handler ever, in my opinion.
What he's done, and Ja Morant stayed with him. He was there for every move. He was there for I managed to get the block. So I'm really impressed with Ja Morant this season.
I mean, he's my rookie of the year as well. Like Josh mentioned, 17 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. I'm impressed. Like you said, 49% for a guard that shoots more from the outside. That people would assume, even though that can attack the rim. That's exceptional. Obviously, like I touched on with Devontae Graham, this is a big difference. This is why there's a different caliber of player. 49% from the field compared to 38% from the field. It's a big difference. Also from 3, just below 37%, exceptional.
Anything over 35% as someone that's shooting in volume.
I mean, he's very measured. He makes good decisions. He's committed. My most important trait for me is the heart, the mental aspect. Like I always touch on. He's committed. He has the fire in his belly. I mean, when he made a 3 against James Harden, he was talking trash to him. I love it. Talk young king. I mean, Ja Morant, hopefully he can stay in G3. He's one for the future. I mean, I'd expect Zion to have the better career, but if Zion doesn't deal with his injuries, then don't be surprised if Ja Morant ends up having the better career.
let's talk about Zion here. I know there's not really any much we can say. We can give honourable mention to Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, and Brandon Clark has been good. I think Jackson Hayes from the Pelicans, there's been some good rookies. But Zion, what do you think Zion can be in this league?
It could be something we've never seen. I mean, people try to compare it to a lot of people like Charles Barkley, to LeBron, Blake Griffin, but he's his own guy. He's 6'5", 6'6". The bounce is incredible. The velocity, the power, the drive, speed and strength to the rim. I mean, his 3-point shot's not as bad as people made up. He's okay. I mean, he obviously needs to improve.
He doesn't really shoot enough.
I think you need to pair Zion with a big that can shoot. So if you want to get the best Zion, you need to pair him with a big and guys that can shoot.
Some space.
He needs to space the floor.
Is he a small Greek freak type where it would have 4 people spread out?
You want to get best of him. That's what you need to
Zion, but Zion's not really a ball handler.
Not really. Let's say ball handler, but you need space. So when you post up guys try to spin off them.
His passing is quite impressive.
His passing is good as well. I mean, he improves his ball handling as he gets older. But when he wants to attack the rim, because if you want guys to attack the rim, the more space they have, the better they'll be. The more borders there are there, it's harder for them to do their thing. So if you create space for Zion,
does a non-ball handling superstar work in this modern league?
Who does superstars kind of don't handle the balls? Very few and far between.
Yeah. Does it work? Can it work?
I mean,
even Giannis handles the ball.
I mean, does AD handle the ball enough?
He handles it enough. Well, AD on his own team didn't work. Well, it didn't work. That's why he's in the Lakers.
I mean, he had that one station when I had what's his name, Boogie, and Boogie got injured.
Yeah,
but it'll be different. I mean, it needs to surround him with good point guards, good playmakers. They do. Lonzo's a good playmaker, especially I think they could form a dynamic duo. That Brandon Ingram can handle the ball. Mm-hmm. They have Drew Holiday can handle the ball. Some ball handlers, and then that was big that can shoot. You got to be on something there. So we've got to give credit where it's due.
Okay, let's go on to change gears to the 6th man of the year.
Yep.
So who did you have for your 6th man of the year?
Me personally, 6th man of the year. It was between the 2 boys from LA and Dennis Schroeder. Obviously, I think more conventional fake would have gone to the 2 boys in LA. They're part of the best bench unit. They're both averaging just under 20, and they contribute a lot. Harold, forceful, 7 rebounds, 18.6 points, played good D, great energy from the bench. Lou Will does his thing. He's like him to the 6th man is like LeBron and Jordan to the MVP race. They could have won it every season if you really wanted to.
Yeah, Lou Williams is.
He missed the MVP. Missed the 6th man,
isn't he? He's a bit like how
Jamal Crawford.
Yeah,
joint most wins. And he's very essential to the Clips playmaking and shot creation and.
He's on the their final lineup, isn't it?
Yep. Me personally, I'll give it to Dennis Schroeder, the boy from Germany, the German Dennis Schroeder. It's a major part of the Thunder's 3-guard rotation. You have him, you have CP3, you have Shea as well, great player. I know the Clips wish they could have kept him, but you got to do what you got to do. Shooting career highs in field goal percentage 47% that we touched on before. For a guy that shoots that many shots from the outside, exceptional. 3-point percentage 38%, that's the elite level rankings. And he also tests career highs 5.1 shots as well. She's not just taking random shots here and he's attempted enough. And I feel getting the Thunder to be relevant, because after losing Russell Westbrook and PG, most people thought they'd be in the lottery. I think he's done a lot there, so I'll give it to Dennis Schroeder. What about you, Josh?
I had Montrezl Harrell, was it? Just genuinely for the fact that I hear your points on Dennis Schroeder. He's been a great addition, and that 3-guard lineup that the Thunder have is just absolutely run teams off the court. They are the best clutch team in the league. They play very well. They have I think they have the 2nd best record since Thanksgiving in America. It's like 36-11, 34-11 since Thanksgiving. But they have a really poor record against teams over 500. I've been impressed with the Thunder this year.
Yeah.
I'm keeping them afloat, and Dennis Schroeder has been a part of it. But I have Montrezl Harrell just for the main fact that Clippers don't really have that big presence.
Yeah.
And however, Montrezl Harrell has been able to... He plays big, he's really made up for it. And he's scored 18 points off the bench. 7 rebounds, 1.6 assists. He's just been that de facto big. He can able to switch out, move his feet. He can play he plays big tremendously well. I've just been really impressed with Manchester this season.
Yeah, everything he doesn't do is shoot from the outside, but he does everything else.
He doesn't need to shoot. And with that team, we don't really need to shoot from the outside. And that closing lineup that the Clippers have with him is really affected because of him. Yeah. Even though he's like a Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Not in the way that he can pass.
Yeah.
But he can make up for deficiencies you have when other teams are bigger. Yeah. He can cover that space. He's more his presence.
So we'll touch this later, but don't you think he's lack of shooting, even though he's in the final lineup, but everything else he does do, when, because the Clippers they struggle with playmaking and shot creation at times, and if he's there not spreading the floor as much as he could be, obviously the paint and
let me bring it back to the name of the podcast. It's a 2-man game. That pick and roll with Lou Williams, it makes him a factor. He's a great role man.
Of course.
But that is also an additional play in the book which keeps the other team aware. They know he's gonna roll to the basket.
Yeah.
You cannot leave him. If he rolls to the basket, you hedge, you make a mistake, you leave Lee Williams open. If both of you roll, and it leads to easy baskets.
It's true, but we'll touch this now. It's really true. You make good points. So moving on, executive of the year.
I had
DMs who's making the big decisions. Your job's on the line.
Lawrence Frank.
Yep.
But it wasn't as easy as it. I do believe Sam Presti has done an amazing job, and Masai Ujiri to keep the Toronto Raptors the way it is and finding those diamonds in the rough. Boucher and that. Boucher's it's been an addition. You wouldn't really find those players regularly. I also have sore marks because to get KD and Kyrie to the guard to the center, Barclays Center. Yeah. It's an impressive feat. You are really the second team in New York, and you've got the two best players.
Now you're the number one team there.
Arguably, but New York is always a Knicks.
In terms of fans, it will be the Knicks, but in terms of quality, who's going to be competitive?
Yeah, you're going to be the number one team. But Lawrence Frank to get Kawhi and Paul George. Yeah. And even at the deadline, just scooping up players like Joakim Noah and Marcus Morris, it just shows the decision making. Arguably they got the best decision making group. You've got Jerry West there. You've got Steve Ballmer, which is an owner that seems to listen to
the richest. Got deepest pockets.
Lawrence Frank himself used to be a coach, and you got Doc Rivers. It just seems like the best.
You also got Ty Lue as well there.
Ty Lue. So that is just the best brain trust in the league. I'm just really impressed with that team.
I had Lawrence Franks as well, but it's not an open and shut case as most people would think. I also had Sam Presti right there, flipping PG Westbrook into multiple first round picks, bringing in Shea, bringing in CP3, bringing in Gallo. Gallo now is a bit underrated, a good player, a good solid player. And now they're a playoff team as well. He has a big part to play in that.
And he has 4 first round picks from the Clippers going?
I think he has more. He has a lot.
He has a lot of
first round picks for days. Yes. If they play it right, they could be relevant again. Who knows? They could end up picking KD, Westbrook types again.
They can pivot. They're in a perfect situation.
Also, Pat Riley. I have to give a shout to Pat Riley. Kendrick Nunn, undrafted. Tyler Hero, was like mid pick.
And Duncan Robinson was undrafted.
Undrafted, even though it was last year. I'll give him credit for that. Also, be able to acquire Jimmy Buckets, in my estimation, top 15 player. Also, don't forget Andre Iguodala. Everyone wanted him. The Lakers wanted him. I wanted the Lakers again.
Iguodala was very poor before the break.
He might have been poor, but Iguodala's got so much experience in the playoffs. I would, vouch. I'll vouch for
that. Jao Crowder was a better addition than he was.
They got Jay Crowder as well. I even forgot about that. He's done a lot.
Anyway, I would like to say thank you for listening to our first episode. Yeah. Courtesy of our host.
Yeah.
Our host is not me actually, Josiah. Thank you for doing that. Maybe you'll hear his voice sometime on the pod, from time to time, telling us to fix up. But thank you for listening to the first episode.
We're very eternally grateful for you for your support.
And I hope you come back for next week. Yeah, always big up yourself. And
stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more. Thank you
for you guys. Thank you.